We're so blessed. We love our band because I always say they do as much inspiring as we do in prayer and in our talks. So we just thank you, everybody. So I know when we were welcoming you here today, I said it's fall already, and I know fall technically is not until the middle of September, but it still feels like fall to me. There's just something in the air, right? And what really brought it home for me is pumpkin spice is now available. Everything, pumpkin spice muffins and lattes and pies and cookies, everything pumpkin spice. Does everybody in this room love pumpkin spice? I do not. Holy confession, but I respect all of you that do. I just, when I saw that, and I love this, it's like a what do they call that, a haboob making its way across the sea, and the dog, it's so cute. Facebook, what can I say? Anyways, in our valley, and those of you that are coming in live stream, we live in a very warm place. It's a desert here, and we have two seasons, hot and not so hot, right? We really don't have leaves falling because we have palm trees, and that somebody cuts them and makes the leaves fall, but it's not this natural thing. However, with that said, we can still learn so much from the fall season, right? Leaves falling from the trees, a change of season, time to kind of just contemplate and see what we're ready to let go of. It really beckons us to have a reflective moment about things changing and what we're ready to let go of in our lives. And so my talk title today is called Let It Fall. Let it fall, because I know letting go isn't easy, and I'll be talking about that shortly. But really, it's a time for us, given to us by nature, to remind us there is a season to let things fall. Now, many of you know that I was brought up in the Jewish tradition, and when fall comes to me, it's time for the high holidays, because that's when they fall in our calendar. And a lot of people aren't sure what the high holidays are all about, so I'm just going to make it kind of down and dirty for you. It's Jewish New Year, first of all. There's two holidays, the Jewish New Year. And we celebrate the next year of life, and we have things like these symbols like honey and pomegranates and apples, because we want to, as we would say in Science of Mind, we want to declare a good year, a sweet year for us. And we sound the shofar because it reminds us, oh yeah, this is about spiritual connection. So it's this whole holiday of coming back kind of to home with yourself, right? But then there's part two, the Day of Atonement, or Yom Kippur. That's a very somber holiday for us because it's a time of reckoning. It's a time of looking over the last year and seeing where have we sinned? Where have we gotten it wrong? Where have we hurt people mindlessly? Where have we hurt ourselves? And it can be a very intense time for us because you know what? We don't like looking within most of the time, especially looking at the darker stuff about ourselves. But I'm telling you, there's a lot of good in that. And we teach here in Science of Mind that sin isn't so much about doing bad things. It's more about missing the mark. And for us spiritually, it's missing the mark because we are not in alignment with that source energy. So for me, the high holidays are really about getting back in alignment with my spiritual integrity. Really cleaning things out, looking out behind me, looking at the past, and seeing where have I not stood in that truth. So not only is it about reckoning with the outer world or people, but it's also with ourselves, because really the destination is coming back to love. Love for ourselves and love for everyone. So it's quite a holiday, as you might imagine. So there's this idea of wholeness that the high holidays teach us, coming back into this state of wholeness. And the definition of wholeness in the dictionary is a state of being in one piece, right? Being in one piece, not being fragmented, not feeling like a part of you is missing, but one piece, totally solid in integrity. And it also means no separation. And I love this because what we teach here is there's no separation between us and our spiritual source or the divine, whatever you want to call it, God. There is no separation. We are one with it all the time. So this idea of spiritual wholeness, Ernest Holmes describes it as the fundamental spiritual reality of existence. That means it is who we are. It is our foundation to be whole. How many of you feel whole in this moment? Can you say, I feel whole? Okay, some of you, excellent. But there's a lot of you that didn't raise your hands, and I want to tell you, I get it. I get it. This philosophy teaches us that we're perfect, whole, and complete. When I used to hear that in my early days here, I could not accept that. No way. I know y'all say it. I couldn't feel it. I couldn't get there. And it's because of how I defined it in my mind, right? I thought of wholeness as being perfect in this dimension, in this reality, not spiritually. And so it took me a while to get what Ernest was teaching. Because he says it's not about perfection in the human sense, but about recognizing the unity and the completeness of life itself, meaning that wholeness is inside of ourselves all the time. It doesn't go anywhere. We are with it all the time. That's wholeness, and I get it. Sometimes it takes a little while to get really good with that and get it on a deeper level. And that's why we keep coming back every Sunday and teaching that to you. So Ernest also says, when we feel fragmented, our true essence remains whole. So this is my big teach today, that even in the vicissitudes of life, the ups, the downs, the sideways, the backwards, in the midst of all of that, there is a true essence of who we are that does not get broken. And that's for us to kind of be curious about. See what's up with that. See if we can kind of feel our way into that. So how do we find our true essence? Some of you may not really know what that is. I understand that too. I remember so many decades ago now where I didn't even feel that spark of life inside of me. And thank God for New Thought, because it gives us such a wide berth of understanding spirit, where it gets to be on our own terms, where we get to discover it ourselves. That if we set the intention to find our true essence, the information, the heart space starts to open up for us to understand what that is, because it's not a mind thing, it's a heart thing, it's a love thing. So I wanted to tell you a story today about a clay lamp. And this clay lamp was kind of a special lamp because it had consciousness. So this clay lamp sat in a temple, shining its light through its beautiful decor. But one day somebody accidentally hit it and it went crashing to the ground, and it broke into a bunch of pieces. Actually, no, it didn't break, but it cracked. It cracked. And so this poor little lamp was so despondent. It was very upset because it thought it lost its value. Life lost its meaning. It had no purpose anymore. And so the lamp just sat there kind of sad and pathetic until one night the wind started to blow. And the wind was blowing through its cracks. And the lamp thought it heard it whispering, that it heard the wind whispering to it. And the whispering was saying, "Shine your light." And the lamp was startled, and it thought that it could only shine its light if it was perfectly intact. And the wind kept whispering, "Shine your light." And so that little lamp thought, okay, I'm going to do what that wind said, and it started to shine its light. And it shined its light brighter than it ever had, because the light was shining through all of its cracks. So it was more than it ever was. And that story of the lamp is our story. We have our cracks from our life experiences, but it does not diminish our light. That light is given more opportunities to shine. Because truth be told, we aren't the encasing that the lamp is. We are the light inside of it. And that's finding our true essence, the light that we all are. Parker Palmer says, wholeness does not mean perfection, right? How we might describe it or define it, how we've come to think of it in this world. Perfection is something much different than that we're not taught in school, that many of our families don't teach us. It really means embracing brokenness as an integral part of life, because our brokenness is where we learn about ourselves. Our brokenness is where we see what's really important about us, which is that light. Brokenness is just a part of life. And when we can accept it and integrate it, we realize that is wholeness and that is perfection. So even though we may experience brokenness in our lives, because we do, we're not going to deny it, we get broken. We feel broken by experiences. However, it doesn't mean that we are broken. It is just an experience. And we have a lot of experiences in our lives, don't we? We have joyful ones, fun ones, strange ones, and then there are those that make us feel broken. But they're all part of us. makes our wholeness. It makes us who we are. When we accept it all and not turn away and just say, yeah, that was an awful experience, but it's a part of me. It makes up the fabric of my being, and that's okay because this is me in my totality. So it's a whole new way of defining wholeness for ourselves. So there's a problem that Ernest Holmes found with this whole thing of embracing wholeness and joy and all these wonderful things we teach here. He says, we know the background of human thought is, to a great extent, one of negation, a denial of a harmonious and spiritual universe. Ernest is saying this. He's saying, I see you all. I know how you think. We tend to run negative. It is normal, everybody. It's called negative bias. It is a survival strategy. We can't help ourselves. We tend to be negative when we are walking through life experiences. We lean that way, and thank God we're here to clean that up, right? Yeah. But it is. We just can't help that we're wired that way. It keeps us protected. You know, if we have a negative experience, we want to protect ourselves by not walking into that again, right? So it makes sense, right? Knowing how our brains function, knowledge is power. Then he says this, consequently, our outlook on life must be transformed by the renewing of the mind, right? I love that. I know it's from the New Testament, I believe. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. It's one of my favorites because it means you can change no matter what. No matter what has happened in your life, you can change by renewing your mind. And I believe it's all about the spiritual mind, right? About coming into spiritual truth. You can change anything. You are not your past. You are not your experiences. You are precious. You are that light. And you can change by recognizing who you really are, that essence. So he goes on to say, even though the results are not immediately forthcoming because we want it now. We want it now. I'm telling you, sometimes you got to wait. You got to wait because you got a life that's unfolding. So things need to happen. Growth doesn't happen on a dime. It happens through looking at what you're walking through from different things, clicking and coming into focus and clarity. Then the transformation can really blossom. So he says we must still maintain serenity of thought. And I know that's a tall order. I get it. It is a tall order, but guess what? We can all do it. We teach you how to do it here. We teach you that you can stop the craziness of your thinking and your fear and all that. You can stop it and come back to center like I talked about with Islam. They stop 5 times a day. Stop all that chatter and come to center and know who you are and breathe. That's a good way to get serenity of thought back intact. So he says we must light the torch of our imagination by fire cut from heaven. So here he goes. He is stoking up our spiritual fire. Get back into that. Get back into that. And all that negation falls away. This last thing, this is part of his quote, a big quote. This to me is this is the clincher, man. We must remain faithful to this vision for a realization of the presence of God is the secret power of our work. That is it. Spirit is the secret power of our work. Recognizing that we are not alone here, recognizing it is not just up to us to do everything. There is a higher power inside of all of us. A higher power in us. That's pretty huge, yes? I don't know, that's kind of cool. It's within us, this higher power. And when we recognize it, when we realize it, when we allow ourselves to be in the flow of that divine energy, you are totally empowered to make your life be whatever you choose. That is the big secret. But I know the path there can be challenging, and that's why we're here together, to remind ourselves what is possible. What is possible by knowing who we are. So in order to realize that presence that we talk about, whether you want to call it God, whether you want to call it spirit, whether you want to call it quantum energy, whatever works for you, use that. There's no right or wrong. It's whatever unlocks that door for you to walk into and feel that presence and see it everywhere. In order to realize that, we have to let that which is blocking it fall away. And that's why my talk title is called Let It Fall. Because we have a lot of stuff we've piled on inside of our minds that blocks us from recognizing that presence, from believing it even exists. And that is for us to see so that we can let it fall away, so we can get in alignment with that power. So if you aren't sure what you're looking for that's blocking that power, I've created a little list for you. And this is short. So if any person, situation, belief, etc., makes you feel out of balance, fearful, angry, disconnected, not in sync, separate, powerless, a victim, then let it fall. Let it fall, right? And it goes on, things like guilt, shame, embarrassment, all that stuff. Let it fall, because all these things do not represent our wholeness. They do not allow us to feel one with spirit at all. We feel disconnected, we feel negative, and that is not the nature of who we are. So letting go is not easy, is it? We love to hold on tight. But sometimes we resist letting go because we think the outer world needs to change, right? Anybody feel that way? This has to change, and then I'll let it go. Oh, no. What's needed is a change of consciousness. That is where the change needs to be made. This outer world, I hate to tell you this, I've been around for a while. It is never going to line up with what your heart wants it to look like, because there's a lot of people on this planet doing a lot of different things, a lot of different consciousness, and as much as our collective, which I do believe our collective consciousness does influence your day in, day out, what's going on out there might be what you want to see. So we can change our reaction, our relationship with the outside world by remembering who we are and remembering that we are here in Earth School to learn, to expand, to grow, to find love no matter what, to heal wounds. That's what this plane is about. And so when we know that, I should say that's what I believe. I don't want to force my beliefs on anybody, but that's what I believe. So if I can change my mind about this world and how I'm interpreting it, I can find the peace inside of myself. And that, number one, is by recognizing the power and presence of spirit not only within you, but within everything, and taking a step back and finding it. Start looking and noticing. Start noticing. When we hold tight to that which separates us from spirit, we are the only ones that get hurt by that. That's a really good reminder to us. If we are not allowing ourselves to let things go and stand in the energy of spirit, then we're not going to be well people. It's going to hurt our bodies. It's going to hurt our minds. And so this is just another enticement to get you to a place where you can start letting go of stuff you've been holding on to that's not serving you. So there are stages of letting it fall. I thought I would go over them with you. So before the stages even begin, I believe we get to a place where we've had enough. We've had enough of trying to hold on and make things work, or hold on to things that aren't serving us, or holding on to the anger, or holding on to stuff that is not moving. We get tired of it, right? It's like, I cannot hold this. It's so heavy. And so when we finally surrender, step one, we finally surrender and say, I can't hold it anymore. I can't hold that grievance on my heart anymore. It's hurting me. I can't hold that guilt. I can't hold that anger. We surrender. We surrender. We surrender because we know there is a greater power in this universe that supports us, that we are. So in our surrender, we are still in that wholeness. We haven't lost anything, nothing. Then we can start accepting. We can start accepting what is. Stop fighting with the world. Stop fighting with things not being the way you want them to be. We stop it and just accept everything as it is, because we have a greater understanding that there is a power and a presence that is within us, bringing forth possibilities. So we don't need to be all attached anymore to everything we've been holding so tightly to. We surrender, accept, and know that we can change and transform. And guess what comes after that, my friends? Freedom. Freedom! Ernest Holmes was all about freedom. That is one of the reasons why he wrote Science of Mind. He wanted people to be free because he saw that people were too entangled and imprisoned by their beliefs, by their little prisons that they kept themselves in that didn't allow them to be who they are, because they were conditioned to think, this is who I have to be and there is no choice, that's it. He said, I am freeing you all. And that's why this philosophy is so powerful. And what comes with freedom is newness of life. Newness of life. Who doesn't want something new? This whole Jewish New Year thing, you don't want something new? This whole Jewish New Year thing, what I love about it is creating newness for us, because we aren't stuck in one place. Life is supposed to be continually renewing itself. Whether you are 5 years old or 85, you should always have newness coming in. It keeps us healthy and well. It's part of our divine emergence of new things for us to be and live into and experience. So important. So Ernest says when we let go of the lesser and you make room for the greater, right? This lesser, this petty stuff we hold on to. The stuff we hold on to that we cannot control. We hold it so tightly it does nothing for us. He says when you let it go, the greater comes in. Let go of the lesser, the greater now has space to come right on in. He says release the weight of past thinking and walk into the lightness of truth. This is the prescription for a better life for all of us. To be mindful and let it fall, all that stuff. For those of you who are into vibrations and that kind of thing, I have a restatement of what Ernest said. Clinging to lower vibrational thoughts or fears limit us, right? We know what a lower vibe is. It doesn't feel good. It's kind of earthy, kind of has an edge to it maybe. But when you go to a lighter vibrational frequency, something higher, then we open ourselves up to a fuller expression of spirit, of truth, and inner light. We don't want to dwell in the lower, the primal. We don't want to dwell there. We want to rise into a higher space, a higher field, a higher frequency. So it's much easier to let go when we have a strong spiritual foundation that reminds us that we're whole. And I wanted to talk about this because I know on my own journey of letting go, I had a hard time letting go when I didn't have a strong spiritual faith. But once I came into Science of Mind, I got my faith really strong, really rooted, it was easier to let go. Not that it's that easy, but at least I have an awareness that in the letting go, something's there, that I'm not losing everything. I've got a spiritual strength inside of myself that makes it much easier for me to let go of all these things because I know that within myself is unlimited, powerful energy that is intelligence, that is everywhere present, that is healing. And knowing that, much easier to let go. And so I want to talk about our philosophy just for a few minutes. We talk about it a little bit in our talks, but I want to really dive in with you for just a couple minutes because this philosophy is exactly what I'm talking about. This is something that creates a foundation for you. And the cool thing, I want to say this because I know there's people that are in other religions that come to our center. The cool thing is you can use this and have Judaism, Christianity, Buddhism. It works with everything. It's just an enhancement. So the idea is that spirituality, as we teach it, restores wholeness by fostering connection, right? We connect here. Doesn't connection feel good? This oneness. It cultivates inner peace and encourages the integration of one's whole self. Because like I said earlier, we aren't just one thing. We have a lot of aspects of ourselves, a lot of part to ourselves. When we accept it all as one whole thing, we feel integrated on the outside and we feel grounded. So it's integrating the mind, the body, the spirit, the whole enchilada of who we are. And we use practices like prayer, meditation, community, teaching, self-reflection. We use these things to get us to that place of wholeness. And if wholeness isn't working for you, I was thinking about the word wholeness a lot, obviously. And I was thinking, what's another word I could give you? And I thought, love. We all feel, you know what love feels like, right? Wholeness, maybe not so much, but love is wholeness. So these practices allow you to find that love burning in your heart. So this process involves connecting with a higher power, right? You got to have room for entertaining at least that there is a higher presence, a higher power, a higher source of life. Like I said, you get to figure out what that looks like to you. It might just be nature. I don't know. But finding that higher power is really key because it helps us find meaning in life. It increases our self-acceptance when we realize that Spirit doesn't judge any of us. It just is us. There's no judgment. It's all love. It helps us develop a resilience to the changes of life, to the challenges of life, to all that. This gives you an amazing foundation. How many people in this center have used these principles and feel they have created that foundation for you? Lots of you guys. As they say, this works. This works. I've heard people, I won't say what that word is. Dr. Laura will. So wholeness. So wholeness. So it's all about wholeness. We don't need anything or anybody to make us whole. It's very confusing to our minds because I think we're naturally kind of just as human beings and evolving as these humans. We think that our wholeness relies, can we go back? We think that our wholeness relies on something coming into our lives and making us whole. It's really easy to get into that thinking. You know, when we were babies, our mamas made us whole. We don't need to do that anymore. We just need to recognize that we are already whole. Because in this spiritual maturity that we go through, we realize that all the wonderful things that made us feel whole in the past were really just replicas, just symbols of an innate wholeness that always dwells within us, and it's always there no matter what. We also teach that we are complete. Everything we need for fulfillment is already within us because Spirit is within us. So you already got that power pack giving you whatever you need. It just shows up when you understand that it always provides. And wholeness is about uncovering and aligning with that inner completeness. And I know there's some of you going, God, I don't get this. That's okay. That's okay because it's getting into your mind. Just be curious about it. But we are complete beings. And when we know that and open ourselves up to that, what we teach you, what you focus on expands. When you know that in your heart, you're going to see it everywhere. You're going to see that you're always provided for and you are never in lack. Healing. So healing is not about fixing something broken, but about revealing the wholeness that is already present, right? If you've got that wholeness, it's going to do everything from healing to providing. And it does it in a way that is going to match your expectation. Just be open and let it in. So illness, lack, limitation, they're false beliefs and separation from this inherent wholeness. And I know that's a lot to kind of sit with. But I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of lives healed in this place, including my own, that went beyond doctors, that went beyond the chiropractor. Those are wonderful modalities. I love all modalities of healing. I'm telling you, I love them all. But what I know is beyond that, and beneath those, and within those is Spirit doing its work through us. So we always have that healing power inside of ourselves. So I want to finish with Ernest Holmes' quote, "You are whole because you are one with the whole. You are love because you are one with love. This is the natural state of who we are." And we've lived lives where we held on to a lot of beliefs about ourselves that do not support that. And during this fall season, I want you to consider what those are, and I want you to reflect on it. And I want you to let them fall, because they're keeping you from your good. They're keeping you from having this maximum, amazing, unlimited experience of life, because we're holding on to that which is not a true reflection of who we are. It's time to let it fall. You do not need to carry it forward. So this fall, please, let it fall. Thank you.